Hey guys, thanks for coming back to my channel. I've got a Scentsy haul for you today. My first spring Scentsy haul this year, and one of my first spring Scentsy hauls ever, I think, at least for the past few years. So let's take a second. I know everybody, let's take a second, a collective sigh of disappointment to see a Scentsy haul on this channel. I know you guys aren't a fan of me talking Scentsy on here. Trust me, I get it. There are a lot of people on YouTube talking about Scentsy. Most of them are consultants. I get that part too, so I understand. And also, I just think in general, there aren't a lot of people that follow me that enjoy Scentsy. So, I mean, I'm not going to do it very often, especially for the spring months. I did end up canceling my clubs though. I had 2 clubs. I canceled both of them. That's probably a video for another day. I'll explain that a little bit deeper. But I did want to talk about some of these spring fragrances from Scentsy. Now, like I've mentioned before, I don't do a lot of perusing here on YouTube for reviews with home fragrance during this time of year. For the fall months, yes, absolutely. For when that starts to kick up, I am paying attention to a lot of other YouTubers and their content. But right now, sorry guys, I'm just not listening to what you have to say. If you're talking about candles and home fragrance, I just don't spend a lot of time with it. Mainly because I don't have a lot of interest in it during this time of year as far as purchasing new stuff. But I do have an interest in spring home fragrance. I mean, fun fact about me is I love this time of year. Spring is absolutely clear cut for me, my second favorite season of the year. But I love this time of year, guys. Just something about it. I've said on this channel many times, the rebirth, the renewal of the season. That's a big deal for me. I'm not one of those people that really likes long stretches of cold weather. I don't do well with that. I don't know how you guys do it up north. That is just something that personally for me, I could not do. And a lot of the fragrances in this haul from Scentsy here are gonna focus more around the florals. So I know that's not everybody's jam. I understand that. For me, though, it is just a sign of the season. It's a sign of the times. It's just what's kind of happening for us during the spring months. You know that old saying, April showers bring May flowers. We learned that back in elementary school, right, guys? So that's one of the things that really reminds me of spring. Occasionally, I like a really good spring bakery too, but that's usually for the colder days. But I really enjoy florals. Probably one of the most overused lines in fragrance, whether it be personal fragrance or home fragrance, is, what is it? You guys know what it has to do with. It has to do with florals, and I'm not a huge fan of florals. How many times have we counted somebody say that? And then oftentimes we'll see the same person who's not a fan of florals come right back and say, well, I'm not a fan of florals, but I actually really like this. So I think sometimes people kind of get into their head that they're not a fan of florals and they just kind of shut themselves off from new experiences and even experiencing that genre. So when they come across something that they do like, they're surprised by it. So in many cases, it might not even be that people aren't a fan of florals. They just don't experience many, so they don't really come across many that they're a fan of. And when they experience a lot in home fragrance, I can say this because with personal experience, with home fragrance years ago, especially, there weren't a lot of diversity in florals. And I know people like to think that HomeWorks was one of the first companies that would add fruit to their florals. Well, they're not. Scentsy's been doing it for a long time. And actually in personal fragrance too, that's just kind of the name of the game. I mean, you add fruits with florals, and that's just something that's made them more palatable over the years. So it's something that has gone on for quite a while. I think people just experienced it maybe for the first time with HomeWorks. So fruits with florals, that's common. And that's gonna be kind of the theme here with a lot of these florals that I have with Scentsy. I love springtime in Oklahoma. I know that doesn't mean a lot to a lot of people around the world, but that actually means something here in Oklahoma. Springtime, tornado season, storm season. That's just kind of what we live for out here. It can be exhilarating and it can be terrifying all in one, but it does get the blood pumping, and it is something that I really look forward to. And really just kind of coming out of those really cold months of January and February, maybe even sometimes March, and just kind of starting to open up again and experiencing the nice weather, just experiencing the things that I love about this time of year, which is largely the florals in personal fragrance and home fragrance. I'm gonna start off this haul with the fragrances here that were not the ones that I ended up liking. I know that's kind of starting off on a sour note, but so be it. They weren't anything that I really strongly disliked. They were just clearly the fragrances that I don't have any interest in buying again. We'll start off with this one right here. It's Peace Lily Be With You. I think I've tried everything in this haul at least once. So you can see I've tried this one twice. It was a very light fragrance here. And okay, we've got the florals here in this, and we've got something fruity. So we're starting off immediately with the florals and the fruitiness mixed together. And it's a little bit soapy, maybe even slightly feminine or soft. Just something delicate about this, a tad soapy about it. The fruitiness in this kind of reminds me of a pear, maybe even a peach. It's very juicy. The fragrance here in and of itself was really nice, but it didn't throw very well for me at all. Peace Lily Be With You. Maybe if I had a better first impressions with this one, it could have potentially been something that I would repurchase, but it's not. The next one, this one right here, Hibiscus Sunset. I was excited about this one. I love hibiscus. I have several out in my front yard. It is a more tropical floral for me, and I think for most people, it's at least a more, July floral or even August. The hottest months of the season kind of floral, hibiscus is. But this one almost just smells like straight pineapple juice to me on cold. And it was not a strong performer. I put it in the wax melter and it just kind of got lost. I forgot I even had it in there. Didn't make any impression on me. I don't really get much floral here. And of course I couldn't really smell it while it was melting, so didn't get any floral there. It just kind of smells like pineapple juice to me, so that's not really that exciting. It's not a floral really for me, even though the notes maybe and the name suggest otherwise. And then this one right here, Banana Leaf and Bamboo. I was really looking forward to this one. I like it quite a bit more than I do the hibiscus fragrance, but this one, now there is a nice greenness about this one. So Banana Leaf and Bamboo, I probably get the bamboo a little bit more. It's a little bit of a watery greenness here. But I also get a little bit of a pineapple here in this one too, especially while it's melting. And then after it had been melting for about 24 hours, I started to get apple in this. And I really do know my apple fragrances. So this did start to smell like apple for me after a certain amount of time. But it started off as a green kind of leafy pineapple a little bit. I don't really get much of a banana leaf, a floral banana here. Definitely not a fruity one, but I wasn't expecting that. I get that little bit of a watery greenness in it, and then apple after a while, and it's kind of just a straightforward apple after it's been in the warmer for a while. It threw pretty well though. Not a repurchase. So next we're gonna go to the ones that are kind of middle of the road, right down the middle. I won't repurchase them or anything, and probably something that depending on the fragrance I enjoyed, but just not gonna buy again. We'll start off with this one right here, and it is Mint Fields. And I was kind of surprised I didn't like this one more. It's very fresh mint. I mean, that is a very green fresh mint. If you've ever grown fresh mint in your flower bed, I feel sorry for you, number one, because it takes over. It's very invasive. And then number two, you know what this is gonna smell like. It actually smelled very authentic, threw pretty well, a little above medium throw. I love a green, grassy, minty kind of fragrance, but I just don't see myself going back for more of this one. And that's exactly what it is. But experiencing it and, just trying it out, I'll use the whole bar. I think that's good enough for me. And then the next one is this one right here, blueberry cheesecake. I did want to compare this to my recent purchase of Homeworks' blueberry cheesecake. Definitely on cold, this is a more authentic blueberry cheesecake. Now, unlike the Homeworks version, I don't get a lot of crust here. So this is mostly the creamy cheesecake and the blueberry, but it's equal measure with both of those. And it's a decent throw. I can see why this is one of their better selling fragrances on their website. To my knowledge, this is on their website year round and it never really goes away. Probably because it does sell very well. One thing I'm learning though during the spring of melting and burning blueberry cheesecake fragrances is I don't really think I'm a fan of them. So all of them that I've tried, and I've just recently tried a blueberry cheesecake here from Goose Creek as well, which I actually tried many years ago for the first time from Goose Creek. I revisited it again this year. It threw really well, didn't do much for me. It was definitely more in this vein of blueberry cheesecake, which I appreciate more than the Homeworks version. I liked this. I won't go back to it. A decent throw with that one. It didn't disappoint me with throw. It just wasn't something that I'm going to go back to. The next one, which is the only one I think out of this haul that I have not melted yet. It is Soft Plumeria. And this one right here reminds me, okay, I'll show you real quick. It reminds me quite a bit of this fragrance right here. And I only bring this up because I've talked about this one right here recently quite a bit from Homeworks, and it is Garden Bouquet. And of course, Garden Bouquet, I mentioned, remind me of a couple of other fragrances from Homeworks that has been done before. So what we're getting into here are the soapy clean white florals. That's what we're going into, and that's what this right here, Soft Plumeria, reminds me of. I get a lot of Plumeria. I get a lot of gardenia in this. Oh, it's a very soapy fragrance. I mean, you can't smell this and not think of something that you smelled in a bar of soap or shampoo or even a shower gel before. It's just that style of white floral. I'll stop short of calling it real floral heady because it's not. I don't think the Garden Bouquet is either. It's just bang you in the face. It's a very strong fragrance. It's not something that I would consider, potpourri or anything like that, which the next fragrance that I do have here, I kind of put into that category, maybe a little bit. God, that's so soapy. Plumeria, gardenia, maybe even tuberose. Soft Plumeria, let's see how that one throws. If it throws like the Homeworks Garden Bouquet, I'll be extremely happy with it as far as performance because that one threw extremely well. And the next one is this one right here, Heirloom Rose. Now this takes me back to a Yankee Candle fragrance. Oh man, I don't know if that's my style of rose. I mean, it's very authentic. It's got a very green stemminess about it, a green leafiness about it, and that stands out quite a bit. It's stopping just short of being something like potpourri smelling, or even, dare I say, no, I won't say that. I'm gonna stop just short and not say that, but Heirloom Rose was not my style of rose fragrance. It reminds me a lot of Yankee Candle's Roses of Cliff Walk. If you've ever smelled that fragrance, this will be very reminiscent to you and maybe bring up some good or bad memories. I don't know, depending on what that takes you back to. The next one in the fragrances that I could do without, I probably wouldn't purchase, I didn't dislike, but I won't repurchase, is this one right here, Lemon Drizzle Cake. I've been trying a lot of different lemon bakeries this spring too. And this one, it's too much of that lemon, I feel like. It wasn't a real great thrower. I think it'd probably be one that I would have to put into a bedroom or something like that, or double up with it, 2 warmers in my living room and kitchen area instead of just 1 warmer. I would say it was a 4 or a 5 throw. It was decent for that large of a space in there. It just didn't have enough of the cakiness or even a creaminess that I was wanting. It has a little bit of it. Especially on cold. It has more on cold than it does while it's warming, but I don't know. Lemon drizzle cake, I don't think I'm gonna go back to it. I've smelled better and I've had fragrances in that genre throw better. So, okay, and then this last category, we're gonna go with the fragrances that are, if I were repurchasing these, I would maybe repurchase these. So in my next haul from Scentsy, maybe you'll see these show up again. First one is Sun Castles. And this was a pleasant surprise for me. Very pleasant surprise. I've used a few of these so far. Something very beachy about this one. You know what this reminds me of? A pina colada. It reminds me of pina colada with a little bit of an almond, I would say. It reminds me of the white jelly bean, if you've ever smelled that before. So Sun Castles, and it threw very well. I doubled up on it, so it threw better than maybe if I had only put 2 cubes and used it one time. But yeah, something about it, very beachy, you know, pina colada, so it's suggesting beachy for me. Sun Castles, really, really nice. The next one, oh, this was a winner. This was a huge winner. This one right here, Rainbow Sherbet. And I'm a huge sherbet fan. It's a fragrance, though, that I haven't really used much over the past several years. But this is the best sherbet that I have smelled in quite a while. Most of them focus more on the lime, and I don't like that about them. This is perfection. It's raspberry, it's lime, and it's orange all mixed into one. Threw very well, like I said. Rainbow Sherbet. Yeah, I would buy that one again and probably see that one again in my next haul from Scentsy. The next one surprised me too, and it's this one right here, Garden Fresh Gardenia. It is a very green. Oh, and I love the greenness in this. It's just a different kind of greenness than this one right here, Heirloom Rose. And it's really hard. I think it's really just the difference here is the rose here. I think the rose I don't like with that. Maybe the greenness would be fine if it were a different rose, but I really like the green note here. And this reminds me a lot of some of the green notes that I smelled in personal fragrance. So it's very authentic. It goes perfectly with the gardenia. It wasn't an overpowering fragrance either. It wasn't headache inducing or anything like that, but it threw very well. I would definitely buy this again, Garden Fresh Gardenia. I love that one. And then the last one here in this haul, Lilacs and Violets. I'm a huge lilac fan. I have a lilac bush out in my front yard. I love this one. I don't get a lot of violet while this is melting. I get a little bit more on cold. It turned into a very soapy fragrance once it started first melting, and it was extremely strong. Once it died down a little bit, I could really appreciate that green kind of lilac note here. When it first started melting, I was getting just bang in the face white floral, soapiness, and all of that. And then it died down a little bit. It was much more pleasant after the first couple of hours. That lilac really came through, a little bit of a watery greenness in it. I think the wateriness was coming from the violets, maybe even the greenness too, because violet can do that. Love this one, Lilacs and Violets. So there you guys have it. That's my first spring Scentsy haul this year. I'm gonna have one more from Scentsy too, so you'll see some of these in that haul again. So that's it for this haul. I'm gonna get outside and enjoy this weather. It is a great spring day here in Oklahoma. I appreciate you guys watching. I'll talk to you soon. See ya.